After the first padded practice on Monday, Mike Macdonald called out the Seahawks offense, specifically their run game, to step it up on day 2 in pads. Did they get the job done on Tuesday? I'm going to be breaking it all down here on our latest Locked On Seahawks.
You are Locked On Seahawks, your daily Seattle Seahawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, 12. This is Corbin Smith, host of the Locked On Seahawks podcast, your daily Seahawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A special thanks to all the 12s who are listening in, whether you're in nearby Olympia, Washington, or Moscow, Idaho. Thank you to each and every one of you for making Locked On Seahawks your first listen 5 days a week. The Seahawks partaking in their 6th training camp practice at the VMAC on Tuesday. It was their second straight day wearing pads. Mike Macdonald issued I don't even want to say a plea. There was heeding the call that the run game, Seattle's offense, they were called out by their head coach after Monday's first padded practice. This was an opportunity for them to step up on day 2 in pads. I'm going to be taking a close look at whether or not that happened, plus a pick frenzy on the defensive side of the football on Tuesday at the VMAC. And I'll be checking in with right guard and center Christian Haynes as he partakes in his second training camp in our latest training camp interview from the team facility. This episode is brought your way by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Now for your lead story here on our Tuesday edition of Locked On Seahawks. Mike Macdonald was almost all smiles after the Seahawks' first padded practice on Monday. Had a lot of positive things to say about a number of his rookies, a number of receivers, the way that some of the defensive linemen were playing. But there was one area that he was not pleased with, and he made it clear with a pretty blunt answer when he was asked whether Robbie Oots and Abraham Lucas made their presence felt back on the field for the Seahawks in the run game. He just bluntly said no, and it wasn't even just a shot at those guys. He was not happy with how they ran the football, in particular early in practice. He felt like the defense got off to a faster start. So it was kind of a public jab. Hey, I expect better out of you guys on day 2. There's a lot of ebbs and flows in training camp, and sure enough, today the offense responded to the call from Mike Macdonald. They came out and got off to a much faster start. In fact, if you look at the first team session, which was a red zone situational drill, the Seahawks scored several touchdowns in a row. They got a rushing touchdown from George Holani on a toss sweep to the left side. He got behind a caravan of offensive linemen and found his way to the end zone. And then the next series, the third team offense, Damian Martinez plowed his way to a 6-yard touchdown up the gut. So Seattle ran the football much more effectively from the outset. They started fast in that team period. And let's talk George Holani here because, as I said, he had a touchdown on that red zone drill. But I don't know that there was a more impressive player in today's practice. Yesterday, it was Damian Martinez who was putting on a show with the pass pro drills, run football effectively, had a really nice run and catch for more than 30 yards. And I thought Martinez was okay today. He had a couple of plays where it looked like he didn't know what play they were running and didn't execute his assignment properly. So it was far from a perfect day for him. But today was all about George Holani, who kind of became the forgotten guy going into this training camp with Damian Martinez coming in, Ken Walker III, Zach Charbonnet, and at one point a healthy Kenny McIntosh. All of those backs were considered to be ahead of Holani, even though he was a pleasant surprise as an undrafted rookie last year. And he came in and caught a lot of passes, ran the ball hard, had effective numbers in the preseason, did a lot of things on special teams. Pass protection was solid. There was a lot to like. I thought at one point he had a chance to beat out Kenny McIntosh to get a spot on the roster. That did not happen, but he still played in several games late in the season. He helped on special teams. And today, George Holani showed his ability to do a little bit of everything. And it started with that toss sweep touchdown that he had in the red zone period. Actually, even earlier than that, when he was running routes in one-on-ones against linebackers and he was doing a fantastic job as a route runner, getting himself instant separation, looked like a receiver out there going against the linebackers, and was drawing a lot of praise from running back coach Kennedy Palomalu. Won every single one of his reps, just looked really smooth in and out of his breaks, coming out of the stem of his route, and it was fun to watch. Then he had that pitch for a touchdown. Then fast forward to the second half of practice, the play of the day, George Holani on a split zone concept. They had their fullback Robbie Oots wham blocking across the formation to kick out the opposite end. The offensive line, they were zone blocking to their left. They got the horizontal displacement that they needed. A big crease opened up, and Holani turned on the afterburner. 65-yard touchdown run by Holani, the longest run that they've had in training camp to this point, and really created a stir frenzy on the sideline from the offensive players with him making a linebacker miss in space and then taking off. It was an exciting run. You got to see the blocking they're looking for from this athletic group up front. So a really strong day for George Holani on all fronts. Second thing that really jumped out to me today, speaking of that offensive line, Grey Zabel, he is learning from his experiences against, as he called it, a group of elite defensive linemen. He's getting a lot of reps against Leonard Williams, which you want to talk about welcome to the NFL, tough love. Getting to go against 99 consistently. He's gone against Jaron Reed. He's gone against Byron Murphy. He considers all three of those players to be elite talents. But this has really been a case where he is learning from and against these defensive linemen, because it is a trial by fire anytime you're an NFL offensive lineman coming into the league, even as a first-round pick, and the expectations being a top 20 pick are through the roof, especially when many view you as the savior for a unit that's been so bad for so long that has really hurt this football team. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. But Grey Zabel has had his losses. He certainly has been dominated by Leonard Williams a few times in these first padded press today. Had a play where Leonard Williams just used that quick first step and ripped past him, got into the backfield for a tackle for loss. Yesterday, he got a bull rush swim move combo that made him look silly, but he rebounded on the next snap in those one-on-ones by stalling out a spin move attempt by Williams. And today, he had a couple of nice blocks against him in the run game. So you're seeing him learning from the adversity, and he's been learning away from the actual snaps. He's been going seeking out help, and Leonard Williams has been more than happy to work with him. And look, that's the call Donald is instilling on this football team. I can tell you that there are a lot of teams in the NFL where you don't see veterans, but particularly guys that are on the opposite side of the ball. They're not looking to help their teammates and give them advice. But Leonard Williams is looking at it the right way here. Like, I want to show you some tips when you're going against other really good defensive linemen, and I'm hoping that you can beat me some, and it forces me to get better. Like, this is an iron sharpens iron type situation. And again, it's the culture that is being built in the Pacific Northwest. So I think that that's exciting. And let's talk receivers here real quick. Derek Young, this is a player that we've done it kind of on the show to this point where he's kind of been a forgotten man, because look, he's in the final year of his rookie contract. He hasn't made it his rookie year. The last two seasons has not done anything on the offensive side of the ball. He's had injuries. He's primarily just been a special teams player, but easily the best practice Derek Young has ever had. And I love when Mike Macdonald changes things up and does this, where he puts a handful of selected matchups out in front for the entire team to watch. He just handpicks these matchups. And one of them that he did was right out of the gate. He put Derek Young up against Demarion Williams, who camp and formerly played some regular season games for Macdonald in Baltimore. And Derek Young on him. Williams did a really good job on a fade route of recovering and was in position to make a play. And reminiscent of David Tyree's Super Bowl catch, Derek Young plucked the ball off the top of his helmet and reeled it in for a touchdown, and he was mobbed by teammates. And then later in the practice, Jalen Milroe underthrew a pass, and Cam Alexander, the undrafted rookie, looked to be in position to make a play, but Derek Young came back to the ball, battled for it, won the contested catch, and nearly took it back for a touchdown. He got knocked out inside the 5-yard line, but it was another really impressive play. So he was winning contested catches. He had a couple catches in 7-on-7 where he had separation, created good yardage after the catch. We know he's a really good special teams player, and we know there's physical tools. This guy is athletic and he's quick. It was exciting to see him go out there. Easily the best offensive practice that I've seen Derek Young have in his NFL career. And welcome to the league, Torrey Horton. He had a couple really nice catches during the 7-on-7 period. You can see the speed. He's got some juice and the ability to be able to separate, something that the Seahawks don't have a lot of receivers that excel at that. And he looks healthy. That's the biggest key coming off the injury that shortened his senior season at Colorado State. He looks finally like he is 100% healthy, and he participated in all of practice. He did that yesterday as well. So that is great news for the Seahawks as they get the young receiver up to speed. I thought both those guys had really impressive days at the VMAC. When I come back, hey, we got a lot more observations from day 6. Padded practice, going to talk some defense, including a number of defensive backs making some clutch plays on the football. I'll get to that up next here on our Tuesday edition of Locked On Seahawks. This episode is brought your way by our friends over at Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with your friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize, hey, I don't want to watch this on TV. I want to watch in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you to the stadium. Game Time makes it all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices in the app actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app and look for exciting upcoming games, including the series finale between the Mariners and the Athletics. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time by downloading the Game Time app, creating an account, and using the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Seahawks. I'm your host, Corbin Smith. A special thanks to all the 12s who are tuning in here on this Tuesday evening in the Pacific Northwest. Greatly appreciate each and every one of you for making Locked On Seahawks your first listen 5 days a week. And make sure to check out, we had our latest Seahawks squad show that was uploaded on YouTube and everywhere else you get your podcast. So make sure to check that out. Had some really fun conversations with former Seahawks running back Robert Turbin and the rest of the crew on Seattle's run game, the running backs, how the scheme works. Check that out. Again, new Seahawks squad show that is available anywhere you get your podcast. The Seahawks had their 6th training camp practice today. It was their 2nd straight day in pads. Yesterday, Mike Macdonald tried to call out the offense a little bit. I expect better in the run game. He was happy with the defense. And to an extent, the offense was able to get back some momentum today. Sam Darnold made some really nice throws downfield to Jackson Smith and Jigba, was playing sharp football. The run game found traction. I mentioned 3 rushing touchdowns today, 2 of those coming from George Holani. So the defense was not as dominant today, but that doesn't mean that they didn't make plays on that side of the football. In fact, the defense had more interception in today's practice than they've had in any of the practices previously, and it was coming from some maybe unexpected sources. The first one came in the second series, the second session for the team period, 11-on-11. Drew Lock was trying to feather a throw to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Nehemiah Pritchett jumped the route. It was a case where Valdes-Scantling looked like he was drifting towards the sideline on a out route. And Drew Lock was the quarterback. Drew Lock just held on to the ball a split second too long. It allowed Nehemiah Pritchett to be able to read the play, read the route, and jump it. So Pritchett gets the pick, returns it 15 yards before they blow the play dead. And then later in the practice, a couple more interceptions happening for the Seattle Seahawks today. As I mentioned, we had Nehemiah Pritchett that started the fireworks for the Seahawks. And then they were able to get a couple other picks. The last play of the actual practice got to see Hall, their young. For some reason, I'm messing up names right now. I apologize here. They were able to get that interception off of a deflection at the line of scrimmage, and it was intercepted by former Raider and previously also played some snaps with the Baltimore Ravens at one point. They were able to get that interception from Tyler Hall. There we go. Tyler Hall being the one that had the interception. And then a few plays before that, during 7-on-7, Jalen Milroe did not see A.J. Finley, the third-year safety, formerly spent time with the Chargers, thought that he had Tariq Young going down the hash marks wide open, but he did not see number 30. Finley baited him, jumped that route, and intercepted it. So you had 3 picks, and maybe the most impressive play all day, it wasn't an interception. It wasn't Tyler Hall, and it wasn't the picks there by Nehemiah Pritchett or A.J. Finley. It came from Ty Okada in the final team session. And Elijah Arroyo, we've talked so much about him in his first training camp, and he's been fantastic. He's been catching everything, but it looked like he had a touchdown from Drew Lock. The ball was lofted to him into the end zone, and he had it in his hands, and looked like he'd beat Ty Okada, but give Ty Okada a lot of credit. He didn't give up on the play. He recovered. He got back, got his hands in perfect position to manage to pull the football away from Elijah Arroyo for a pass incompletion, and another play that drew a lot of applause from teammates and from coaches. Again, the effort that was put in there, and he's playing a lot with the second and third team safeties. I mean, this is just an incredibly competitive group, but that was a heady play by him. That's why you don't give up. You don't stop playing until the whistle blows, because he was able to get back there and turn what was a touchdown into a point-saving pass breakup. And so that's the kind of play that's going to resonate with Mike Macdonald. So you got to see the secondary making plays. Meanwhile, up front, there's been so much talk about Jonathan Hankins being out, and I do think for the regular season that's a big deal. If you don't have Big Hank, veteran nose tackle, for week 1 against the 49ers, if he can't rebound from the back issues he's dealing with for the start of the season, that is a big loss for the Seahawks, figuratively and literally. But there has been a reemergence, and I'm going to say reemergence here because Quinton Bohanna, early in his career, played a lot of snaps for Aden Durde in Dallas, and he was a significant rotational contributor. He actually started some games for the Dallas Cowboys, and then last year just played in 1 game for the Seahawks. He's 360 pounds, but he's got a little bit of positional versatility to him. He can move around a little bit on that front line. You're not going to play him as a defensive end or anything, but you can play him in 3-tech, 2-eye. You can play him head up. So you can move him around a little bit in the interior, but he has made some splashy plays the last 2 days. Today, he ragdolled Christian Haynes in the center position off the snap, just tossed him aside like he was a bag of bread, and got into the backfield and made a play. And then later in the practice, he broke through a double team and made a stop at the line of scrimmage. So big 92, he has been impressive. And they also had a couple nice plays today from Brandon Peely, the other veteran nose tackle that has played some NFL games that's on their roster. So maybe, just maybe, you're seeing a few of these guys that have been around the league for a few years. Maybe you're seeing them come into their own a little bit playing in Mike Macdonald's scheme. So I think that is certainly a development that bears watching, especially with Quinton Bohanna being a guy that has played a lot of snaps for Aden Durde previously in Dallas, and he has played alongside guys like DeMarcus Lawrence. He knows what to expect. I've been impressed from what I have seen from him so far. A couple other things that jump out here. Nick Emenwari, the Seahawks, they are still trying to figure out ways that they can maximize his unique size and skill set. Got to see him blitz a few times today and come untouched. There were a few other times where they actually dropped him back into a 2-deep shell. That's not something I'd seen him do very much. He mostly been playing near the line of scrimmage. So you're starting to see Emenwari utilized in a number of different ways. They're gradually giving him a few more opportunities to play with the first team defense as well. So this is a great opportunity for him to keep building his value and carving out that role for the start of the regular season. And a couple injuries, and not even really injuries to monitor here. As I mentioned, Jonathan Hankins, we don't know when he's going to be back, but a couple guys, they're dealing with some personal issues Doesn't necessarily sound like a great situation for Ernest Jones based on what Mike Macdonald said. Not anything wrong with him, but something going on in his personal life that isn't going well. He is away from the team right now. And Shaquille Griffiths, the last 4 practices for personal reasons, he has practiced once so far. Because remember, he was ill when he got to training camp and did not participate in the first practice either. So he hasn't been there. That is something that is going to bear watching for the Seahawks moving forward. Are you going to get him back? Is he actually going to be able to give himself a chance to compete here for some snaps? And Ernest Jones, hopefully he can get back soon, whatever he's dealing with. The Seahawks are going to give him the time that he needs, but they'd like to have number 13 out there on the field to go with Tyrese Knight, who had another really strong day today. And maybe one of my favorite plays in the entire day, just seeing him and Robbie Oots collide a couple of times, fullback and linebacker going head-to-head. And Tyrese Knight not worried about being outgunned by 30 pounds by Robbie Oots. He was giving him some good hits and forced running backs to bounce into other defenders. So they'd like to get Ernest Jones back with Tyrese Knight, though, considering he missed pretty much all of the offseason programming. He had been limited early on in camp, coming off of offseason knee surgery. Up next, Christian Haynes, second year in a row, is in the midst of a position battle at right guard. He's also thrown his helmet in the ring, potentially at center as well. I had a chance to catch up with him at the VMAC and see how things are going in his second training camp. That interview will be coming up next here on our Tuesday edition of Locked On Seahawks. This episode is brought your way by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back, so fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, all of our Locked On Seahawks crew are playing together on Yahoo Fantasy. You should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. I've used Yahoo Fantasy for years and love how smooth the draft day experience is. Our Locked On leagues been running through Yahoo for a while now because it gives an easy setup, great mobile app, and the smack talk just hits different in the message boards, especially when I'm rubbing Victory and Rob or Nick's faces. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins on August 4th, so stay tuned and start creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Seahawks. I'm your host, Corbin Smith. A special thanks to all the 12s who are listening in. And thank you, as always, for making Locked On Seahawks your first listen 5 days a week. We greatly appreciate your support of the podcast. Seahawks wrapping up their 6th training camp practice today. Hard to believe that we've already had that many in, but it goes fast once it gets started. Second padded practice today. Christian Haynes is in the midst of a wide open right guard battle right now that look 3 players. We did see more Anthony Bradford with the first team today, so he's still very much part of it. Jalen Sundell's getting those opportunities. And, of course, Christian Haynes, third-round pick from UConn 2 years ago. So those 3 players are battling. Haynes right in the center of that, and he's getting a lot of first-team reps. He's also getting more opportunities at the center position, and I find that incredibly intriguing for a couple of reasons. Because, one, Christian Haynes did not play center at all in high school or at the college level. He messed around with it a little bit during his time at UConn, but never played in a game. Thrown into the fire at the Senior Bowl in Mobile and had a little bit of action there. But last year was really the first time that the Seahawks explored that possibility after Connor Williams abruptly retired, started to give him some looks behind the scenes on the practice field. And now this year they're going full bore and trying to see if he's got the versatility to play the pivot position. We got to see him play quite a few snaps again today as the center. And so it's kind of thrown him into a position where he could be competing at multiple positions for a starting spot. I at one point thought he was may still very well be the case, but it seems like the Seahawks are trying to find that best 5 they can. Christian Haynes can help them more as a center. than right guard. Maybe Jalen Sundell can help them more at right guard rather than a center. And so it was interesting having a chance to talk to the second-year guard coming off what was many people believe a disappointing rookie season where he didn't start a single game. Satao Alamea got the last 6 starts instead of him when Bradford got banged up. So there was a lot of questions coming into year 2, but Haynes is certainly happy with the new coaching staff that he has in town, the scheme being similar to what he had at UConn, and much more. Take a listen to the interview here that I had with Christian Haynes at the VMAC here recently during training camp.
You had your opportunity now to look back at your first season, your full off season for the first time in the NFL. What's one word that you would describe last year with?
I'll say last year was definitely I would describe it as a challenge, a new challenge, and I'll say like a mountain. Just trying to keep climbing up, taking on different challenges, and just trying to have a most successful year as I could possibly can, and just taking advantage of the opportunity I had.
As far as challenges go, what were the toughest adjustments going from playing college ball at UConn to playing against NFL players? What were some things that quickly jumped out like, whoa, this is not college anymore for me?
I'll say just the level of you can't mess up as much in college. Like the level of error is very, very small. And just having the opportunity, if you have the level of error, you can really get beat bad and see it on tape. Whereas in college, that you're one of the best players out there, you can make up and have a better play. But the level of error is very small.
So what'd you do this off season? Like last year, you obviously had the draft process, and then this is your first full off season coming out of that first year. Now knowing what to expect, what were some things that you switched up going into year number 2?
I was just really trying to focus on, just my body and then my hips, and also just my football IQ. Playing different positions, playing a little bit of center, practicing just my center stuff, practicing my guard stuff, and also just getting stronger in the weight room as well.
What's that process been like getting to play center? I know that you had a crash course at the Senior Bowl, but up to that point you hadn't really.
No, it's been great. I've been enjoying every opportunity and just getting the guys on the same page. I just like having that leadership ability to go out there and do that.
What's the toughest part about making that switch? Is it the snapping? Is it the knowing all the line calls?
Really just making sure everybody's on the same page. Sometimes I can go up there and just say the calls in my head, but actually having to say the calls, make sure they're correct. Again, my guys on the same page, I say that was the biggest jump.
How much does the fact that you had played both guard positions maybe help with that, though?
It's helped a lot, and just knowing the all interior 3 and knowing what everybody's doing, even the tackles, it's been great.
What's it been like getting to know John Benton, a coach who's been an NFL offensive line coach for 20-plus years?
It's been great, man. I like John Benton a lot. He's going to work you. He's not going to sugarcoat anything for you, and he's going to tell you what he wants, and then he's going to love you, but also he's going to be a hard worker as well.
How's he compared to coaches that you've had previously? I've talked to a couple of your teammates so far in his camp, and they've just said a lot of the technique stuff is taught differently.
Yeah. So in college, we ran similar outside zone schemes. So we were taught similar things that John Benton has in his arsenal and stuff. So some of the language that he came with, I was like, okay, it's familiarity. And I know what he's talking about, and then the drills and different things we do at practice, we did similar things back in college. So it was just I'll say easier stepping stone, just to understand certain things, different techniques that he likes, especially on the outside zone scheme. So having that, it was great.
What to you is the biggest key, since you've played in a very similar scheme at the college level to this? What is the biggest key at guard and center to being successful as a zone blocker in this offense?
I'll just say getting on your angle and having perfect hand and hat placement, and be able to run your feet, especially at the center position, be able to reach a nose. And another great block, if you can reach a 3-tech by yourself, you're rolling.
What would you say, because you mentioned going against just the level of play that you're going against, how these guys, you have no margin for error. What would you say is the biggest thing you've learned from a preparation standpoint after playing your rookie season, whether it's evaluating film or the way that you're attacking drill work? What's the biggest thing in preparation that you've learned going into year 2?
Just how I'm attacking film, different things I'm seeing on film for myself, and as I'm studying for the installs that were coming up. And also just taking what I'm doing better in individual and making sure it goes into team. And then just seeing that evaluation off the field and then really just dialing in, even that coming in early and watch more film, which I've been doing. And just making sure I put everything I do on, like, individual and make sure it goes to team.
So, Christian, going back just in terms of Corbin's question about center, it's like you guys working a lot on your drills about power and footwork. How important are those in terms of this zone read and what's expected of you?
Power and footwork means a lot in the zone scheme. Just being able to have your first step. Your first step is everything. Because if you have a bad first step, it can make you like off the block. I'll say like you won't be able to have the perfect block or have the perfect power for the block. And then with a good first step, you have to have a good second step, and the second step is where your power is coming from. So like we were doing the drill with the sled. Our first step is just to get us on the angle, and our second step is where we bring the power. But we have a bad first step, we can't bring that power for our second step.
As always, you can follow me on X and Blue Sky at Corbin Smith NFL. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Seahawks on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We've got a fun episode coming up tomorrow. I'll be chatting with safety D'Anthony Bell, who's been one of the standouts on defense this training camp so far, first year with the Seahawks, and of course, takeaways from their latest camp practice. Make sure to listen in and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Go Hawks.